Welcome to the Alchemy of Transformation podcast.
I'm Anouk, a transformational coach, multidisciplinary artist, speaker, and teacher.
And I'm Elijah, a multidimensional coach, a transformational artist, speaker, and teacher.
We are two source workers deeply connected with our cosmic origins. We are all about incarnating our higher purpose into our lives and helping others do the same.
In our discussions, we will share our favorite pieces of wisdom and tools that we personally use to stay aligned and get the best out of ourselves.
We hope that you are as excited as we are to deeply explore the mysteries of the multiverse.
Are you ready?
Let's dive. Hi Elijah.
Hi Anouk. Salut.
How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm home in my beautiful house in the country after being in the city for a few days, 10 days, in my show. I did a little show, Cosmic Origin. It was a lot of fun, but I did miss being home in the country. So I'm glad to be here and being with you. How are you doing, Anouk?
I'm doing good. Kind of the same in my tiny place in the woods, super quiet and graceful.
Yeah.
So, as usual.
As usual.
Yeah, and today is the 20th of June, so the day before the summer solstice.
Oh, yeah, baby.
And I also felt in the past few days this like high energy in my body and mind and heart, like this desire to be in a relationship with people and be involved in my community and work on my projects. So it feels good.
Yeah, you're right. It's a lot more energy as the sun is, taking more and more space in the day, and yeah, all this solar energy rising inside of us. That's kind of how I feel too. Yeah, all this energy to accomplish, to blossom, to flower, to make fruits, make more seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And
Totally.
my birthday is also on June 21st on the solstice, so I've been preparing for that, keeping it small and casual this year. But I always find that solstices, they're not just like when summer starts and spring finishes. It's also like the sun and the moon and the planets, the angle of the planet, all of this in our fields, all of this movement creates actual alignments that, well, I guess magic and witches and rituals and spirituality and certain religions even have been using moments like this to be in deep intention, and create powerfully what they want for the season or their life or whatever. And so tomorrow we'll have a tiny ritual, just a little bit of a, what are we letting go and what are we embracing kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay!
And our conversation today will be about intuition.
Intuition. Are you into
So
it?
I'm totally into it. Yeah. So for a start, what is intuition? What do you think?
What's intuition? Huh. I love it. I did not go see the actual definition, but for me, intuition is in some shape or form, I receive information about something, either something to come, something that is, something I should do. And that information comes through many different ways. Can be a physical feeling, an emotion, can be a voice, can be a very clear voice. Yeah, it can come in so many different shape or form. But so the idea is that it's the sense that I'm receiving information about something to come. What
Hmm.
about you?
So just to make sure I get it right, when you say something to come, is it something about the future?
You're right. It not necessarily is about the future. It can be, but it can also be about the present,
Mm-hmm.
about something that's here close to me or far away from me.
Hmm. Mm-hmm. Got it.
Uh-huh.
Got it. And to me, I like to answer this question and a lot of other questions by first um, getting clear about what the thing is not, so we can be clear about what is it.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, intuition can be we can get confused with so many different inner voices. Um, and intuition is definitely one of them. And when I say voices, it's not definitely something you hear, even if it can be, but like inner feeling or inner characters. And yeah, we can get confused with the voice of our fear, of our ego, of our desires. So to me, intuition really comes with a sense of expansion and a sense of getting closer to my highest potential. So
Mm-hmm.
I like to see it as the guidance of my higher self or the guidance of my soul. So it is between me and me, different parts of me, but still me. And and it's a way to move towards love.
Mm-hmm.
And by comparison, um, if I keep going with the example of fear, we have the brain of the gut, which is about an instinct, and it can definitely gives us some valuable information, but to me it's mostly about survival and how we move away from fear or pain. Does it make sense?
So from what I understand, you're talking about the sense of the gut intelligence that gives us more of an instinct with like the sense that we want to move away from something that's not nice. Like
Mm-hmm.
we learned in the past, that's not nice. It's not good. I don't want it again. I'm maybe even scared. So I'm moving away from something as opposed to moving towards something. Like like I'm moving away from the experience of having pain or
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to intuition being an expansion, bringing you to a higher expansion
Mm-hmm.
towards more of you, more love, more trust, more connection.
Totally.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. And it's not to say that instinct is not valuable, and it's not like if I have the feeling that something really bad is about to happen, it totally makes sense to act accordingly. But I would not call it an intuition.
Uh-huh. Well, intuition isn't better or not as good as instinct. It's just a different kind of information. And right now we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about intuition.
Yeah, and it is, and you started a little bit that way too. It is my own experience of it. It's not to say that it is the way to approach it. It is my way to approach it and how I understand it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it, right? And all of these things are so internal and personal. We can do our best to describe our experience, and everybody listening to each other, we can pick and choose what really resonates with us and maybe learn from what doesn't resonate as much. But indeed, our own the importance that we grow our own capacity to be in relationship to intuition or instinct, and what is my relationship to it, and notice the different kinds of intuition or the different kinds of instinct and the kind of information it brings, or the kind of problem it solves, or the kind of crisis it avoids, or yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to develop on what we just said, like I kind of want to go into that sense of, well, how do we receive intuition? You named,
Mm-hmm.
like, it can be like a voice, and I named also how it can be through the different senses. We have high sense perception, we have senses that go and receive subtle energy. And just like
Mm-hmm.
our five senses, we can see, smell, taste, touch. The high sense perceptions, they go more into the subtle. So it's like it's seeing, but it's seeing things that are not in the physical right around you. It's seeing images, or it's seeing scenes, or you can hear. Like I hear my guides, my internal guides very clearly. I can have conversations with different aspects of me within very clearly. Some people don't hear words, but some people will receive smells, or they'll receive a strong I know. They receive information, bam, right? And so intuition, I think, it's interesting to look at it this way, to be curious about how do I receive intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And if for me intuition is receiving messages, how is the world outside of me potentially expressing, and me filtering and seeing the world outside? I could perhaps receive intuitions. Like, for example, let me just be a bit more clear, because I don't want to be, it could be so abstract. Say I'm asking myself a question about should I buy the green car or the red car? I don't know, right? And I'm really asking myself that question. And maybe I decided to ask for my higher self, or some part of me that has a bigger perspective. And I'm trying to receive that information, but maybe I didn't receive it through meditation. So I have to go to work, and now I'm driving around, and then poof, there's a big truck that has an ad on it that says, we've been red for years. Why stop? I don't know. I'm inventing something, right? But
Mm-hmm.
is that potentially a message from myself to myself through the outer world?
Yeah,
So
so for you, synchronicities could be included in the different ways in which we receive intuition.
I'm playing with that idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if that's part of it. Because also, what I've learned is that we have a tendency also to rely a little too much on some other authority than ourselves. And so sometimes we're like,
Mm-hmm.
should I choose this or should I choose that? When the only thing is we just have to choose, period. And like and sometimes we only receive mirrors. They're not necessarily information. They're just mirrors of our own psyche asking all of these questions and popping up. So
Mm-hmm.
we
Yeah,
have to be.
totally. And sometimes, like in this waiting for an outer like validation, yeah, is a way to move away from our intuition. So even if some synchronicities could be messages from our soul or higher self, it can be a trap in a way, because we are relying on outer signs before we move, because we don't trust our very own selves.
Hmm. Yeah, what a beautiful dance, right? We can
Mm-hmm.
really get really subtle in the depth of our power, and where do we align it? Where do we leak it out, or how do we keep it in, and how do we expand all of this? Yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm curious, Anouk, how do you receive intuition? Like,
Hmm. Um, Usually it depends. There's all these like clairvoyance, which is receiving images, clairsentience, which is true feelings or emotions, clairaudience when you hear, claircognizance when you just know. I would say, in my own experience, sometimes through clear audience, I hear sometimes clear messages through feelings, and sometimes I just know. As an example, when I was searching for the next place I would live, I created that context of creation in which I had this clear vision of what I wanted, and I started doing some researches and having some conversation, but really trying to not rush it and let the good manifestation come to me. And I had a whole bunch of conversation, and it never felt like either it didn't work or I had some um uh like some plan arising, but I just felt it wasn't a good thing to do. And when the right plan came to me, I just knew. I had this sense of like expansion in my heart. So I would even say that listening to the sensation in my body are definitely like my first way to relate to my own intuition, and mostly through my heart. What does my heart say?
Wow. You just brought me somewhere beautiful. That sense that when you're connected to what is to be, what like letting what is the most energizing be your guidance.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mental idea or it's an ego idea, but when it's a deeper intuition, it's because there's a deeper connection in it's like in the web of the subtle that connects us all, that connects all the timelines, all your best selves and all. It's like there's that current that passed through into your heart expanded, which expanded your field, and then you could feel it. And like
Mm-hmm.
energy, there's more current of life passing through you because you're connected to a more life-giving
Mm-hmm.
position, inner position. Wow, thank you for
Yeah.
the trip you just gave me.
Yeah. And it brings me to also add that it doesn't have anything to do with logic.
Right.
Because in that moment, I just felt so inspired by the idea, but I couldn't even say why. I just felt it was the like good thing to do. And it was even scary because I had to move across the whole country, which is Canada, which is
Very
like
long.
5,000 kilometers wide. So, and it was like, yeah, a big change in my life. But I knew, and I just followed it. And I've been here since a couple of months now. And like all that life brought me until that moment just confirmed that it was the good thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, if I may, we're cousins, so we know each other well, and I kind of was close by to you as you were going through all of this. Go, not go, go, not go, with this person, not this person, this plan, not this plan, and it took a few weeks, many weeks, for this to unfold, and you remained uh, like it was unrooting because you were ready to go. You had to leave your apartment, you had to pack your car, you had to just do all of these things. You're leaving your nest, you're changing provinces, you're driving across, and now you're in a bit of a limbo. And you have to wait for that sense that it's the right alignment. And there's a part of you that wanted to go earlier and you had to go through these processes of accepting. And you're just so beautiful through all of these. Like you're always just you have a strong sense and trust that allowed you to really be in that space and this derooted plant waiting for its new nest, and then poof, the right person showed up, and it just all made sense. It was the perfect person to go across Canada with them, the right connection maker for you, going exactly like where you were landing. They um they helped you to connect with a bit of the community that was there already. And so that was life-giving. That was the most life-giving reception that you could receive. And so I just wanted to highlight that yeah, it's beautiful you went through this process, and yeah, it was scary and long, and
Mm-hmm.
days after days having to hold that space. It takes courage. It takes perseverance, and trust.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you for that mirror.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
And then you also said other things. You talked about, your heart and the body. You said how you kind of have a sense that you receive information through your body. And so I kind of wanted to bring kind of like, what are the different elements? There's the body, the heart, the mind, the gut.
Mm-hmm.
There's all of these different elements that have their own energy signature, their own intelligence,
Yeah, they're
right?
actually three brains, right? They each have this like whole set of neurons, and they all communicate together, and they all have their like specific functions. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And they all communicate with each other, yet don't manage the same information in the same way. And we have to train ourselves to not only go seek guidance from the same authority every time, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
our society demands us to be in a mind authority. The mind decides what's most logical and what fits in, and what the square in the square hole, and like, but like you said, sometimes our intuition guides us to things that go beyond the mind, and so we have to train ourselves to go in the heart or in the body, or in sometimes the gut, in other places, of course, right? But what I'm trying to get at is train ourselves, be curious, where do I tend to hang out for my decision making?
Mm-hmm.
And train ourselves to get out of certain habits. Sometimes we might be really emotional. Some people, their authority is the emotional place. That's how they know. If it feels good, they do it. If it doesn't feel good, they don't do it. But maybe sometimes we need to get out of that, right? And also, each of us might have one that's a bigger strength than the others. Like, I'm Gemini. My mind is strong, for example. It can take a lot of space if I'm not careful.
Mm-hmm.
But it has also allowed me to expand into my soul, and I can also be very much in my body. My guidance often tells me, go to your heart, go to your heart. It tells me to go to my heart way more than it tells me to go to my mind. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a whole part of it that is about being curious and listening, like paying attention to
Yes.
how it feels, and what are our own patterns of reaction.
Yeah. And so you're kind of bringing a bridge to something that I've been curious about is, we've been talking about intuition as this kind of thing that might happen. Maybe it's a gift for some. Maybe it feels like it's not there to others, but it is a muscle that we can strengthen, most definitely. And so, uh, how do we prepare for intuition? You know,
Hmm.
how do we open for intuition? And you just said, right? First, be curious, ask questions, and then second, listen,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the whole thing of asking questions, who is asking the questions, and to what uh, uh, to what destination,
Purpose. Uh-huh.
purpose. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but then is listen. But how are we listening? What is the quality of our listening, and how can we create a beautiful inner space for listening? I think that can take preparation. I think that can take a deep intention and meditation, yoga, whatever, like all of these mind centering, heart centering, body centering that kind of aligns us are amazing tools to receive intuition. And I'd like to push this a little further. I really like to see us as this mind, body, soul complex that we are, as an antenna. It is an antenna. And when we're grounded, when we're clearing our aura, when we're aligning our chakras, when we're breathing deeply and longly, our antenna kind of aligns, and our antenna becomes stronger and stronger, and I would even say expands on the voltage and expands on the hertz, on the frequency that it kind of is able to capt, to receive and to ground. And so I do think that we can prepare our mind body soul complex, our body, our aura, or what I have coined as the multi-D, multidimensional vehicle, or multi-D vehicle. How can I fine tune my multi-D vehicle to be the antenna to create my dream life, to create my mission on earth, right? How can I strengthen my antenna to receive the intuition that I need for my day, for my projects, for my connections and my collaborations and my self-care and my healing of my ancestors and blah, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot in what you've just said. Um, Sorry guys, I'm just gonna pause a second and acknowledge that I have a curious dog and she has a very like sensitive smell and she's smelling something right now. So you might hear my dog moving around, but she's lovely. She's part of the conversation with us. Um, so in what you've just said, you are acknowledging that we are part of something way bigger than us and that we can tune in to that higher consciousness, which we can call God or source or universe, but we are part of it and we have access to its knowledge and its wisdom. And then it's also about create a clearing, create a space from which you can listen. So you have to trust that you are able to tune in, that you have like the right tool, which is your body, to be connected with this whole, with the universe. And I do like to approach it like a game, the life in general, but also intuition. Like there is, it's not like a life or that issue. It's about playing. If I don't get the right message, if I thought it was my intuition, but it was the voice of fear, it's no big deal. It's about it's about being playful about it and just keep trying, and with time you build that muscle and you become more and more accurate about your intuition. And whenever you'll have this clear feeling or message and you'll act upon it and you'll see like a coherent result, you kind of get what is the voice of your intuition, and then you are like better able to distinguish between all the different messages that come to you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Mm, mm.
I have another question for you. I am wondering myself because I did this work of developing my intuition, but it's a never ending journey, right? We can always be more accurate, and yeah. So I'm in the same process of being curious and being playful and keep evolving. So I was wondering to myself, would you make a difference between mediumistic gifts and intuition, or for you it's the same?
Mediumistic gifts. So let me just clarify, mediumistic as in medium, as in someone who channels.
Yeah, exactly. Someone who can see deaf people, or who can see or hear like other entities.
Hmm. Interesting
So the
question.
question is mostly about is the fact of communicating with non-physical entities and receiving messages from non-physical entities would be the same than intuition.
Wow, I love this question. And I think that there is an infinite answer of an infinite amount of answers to this, and that because whew, we know so little. As humans, we can cap so little of what's actually going on. Most of us, we've been seeing life in a certain way, and a lot of us are opening and opening, and the language around it, for some people, it's like ascending or going from being to, three-dimensional life to a four-dimensional life or fifth-dimensional life. And that just brings the idea that there's so many dimensions of existence, and that my physical body is a finite, minuscule, potentially minuscule, tiny aspect of a very vast me. And so um like, is if we imagine that consciousness and dimension to dimension, it moves into octaves, but kind of like the same thing repeats itself from octave to octave to octave, would instinct be the same thing as intuition, just an octave lower, a more physical
Mm-hmm.
octave, right? And so you see where I'm going, in the sense that when I receive information as a voice, maybe I've always thought it was my higher self. Maybe every time I heard that voice, it was my higher self. But then 25 years later, I realized that that's the voice of my grandma that passed away. Like, imagine, like,
Mm-hmm.
who
Yeah.
freaking knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as you're saying, like in higher dimensions or octaves, we are all one, right?
Exactly.
So as there is no difference between me and the other, the voice of the other can also be mine.
Exactly, exactly. And even the voice of the little evil gremlin telling us to do really silly things is also an aspect of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little fragment of us that's separated and has its own perspective and its own purpose. And until we reintegrate it fully with consciousness and accept it as a part of us, right, it will be kind of seem like foreign and potentially have a power over us from the subconscious or indirectly in the unconscious, or not at all, because it's tiny and doesn't have that much of an impact. But like more and more of the work we do to reintegrate all of the fragments that we are, and we are able to connect to our higher level octave consciousness, the more we are one, and then eventually we're back to source, right? So whoop whoop whoop, sorry, I got super
Mm-hmm.
excited. But yeah, like I, I
Yeah, but what you've just said bring me back to the beginning of our conversation and this reflection about like survival compared with love. So am I moving away from fear or pain, or am I moving towards love? And moving towards love allows us to connect with higher version of ourselves in the universe, and by comparison, fear separates us. So so yeah, maybe as a conclusion, I don't know if you have anything to add, but yeah, what I really get from that conversation is that any subtle messages that allows us to move towards love is in a way intuition.
mm. Well, I hear you, and I think it's beautiful. I have a more neutral sense.
Interesting. Yeah, let's share.
Thanks. I think what you're saying is really expansive and open, and it's a very soul level approach and vision, which is, one that I adhere to and expand towards.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel that sometimes intuition is just information. There's information
Mm-hmm.
in the field, and I was open to receive it. It's not really
Mm-hmm.
going to expand me to feel that right now my friend is stuck in traffic. And I do feel this information. I think that's intuition also, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes I feel connected to people, whether they're thinking about me or for a reason or another. At that moment, I'm connected to them and I get a sense of what they're up to.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's not intuition, maybe it's something else, right? Like the more and more we get to experience the subtle, we'll probably develop more and more language around it and define more clearly what are all of these inner world experiences. But so right now, for me, intuition is a general sense of information reception
Mm-hmm.
that is not coming from my gut. It's more like my subtle antennas. I often feel like everybody I love or I'm connected to in some way, on a physical level or an etheric level or on a soul level, I feel like there's a web connecting us all. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I feel like we're obviously the spiders on this web, and I feel particularly attuned to those that are connected to my web, and sometimes I can feel things that are far away. Is it intuition or is it just being a member, you know, living on that web? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't know. So yeah,
Totally.
I to more questions. I love leaving with more questions.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was about to say. At the end, it's about, again, it's about playing and being curious. And it's not about being right or wrong. It's about experience and allow ourselves to be in experimentation.
Yes, exactly. Constant evolution and experimentation. It's, you know, the I don't know if it comes with the solstice. I think you and I shared a couple of weeks ago, 10 days ago or last week, something similar, but this sense, like I just had this flash. It's like the earth was being given these rays of information, which goes very well with the sun, which is we are here to play and create. We're not
Mm,
here to freaking get lost in details. We're not here to get in the putting everybody in the wrong. We're here to play and create. And we can create something for 20 years or we can create something for 20 minutes, but you know, let's just keep having fun and not being completely submerged into the outer world and forgetting that it's a game, right? Like just
mhm.
remember we're here to play.
Yeah, and intuition can be a wonderful tool in that game.
Exactly. Intuition. How can I best play my day today?
Hmm. Yeah, even for the like most simple things, it doesn't matter. And the most complex one.
Yeah. What should I eat tonight? What school
Mm-hmm.
should I go to next year? Should I marry this person?
I like it.
Cool. Well,
Okay, so it kind of feels that we we explored the question deeply and that we're getting to our conclusion.
gros bisous. Big kiss, everybody.
Yeah, and I really appreciate your wisdom and willingness to share.
Anouk, it's always a pleasure to share and explore our ideas. I love how we speak of the same things, but not necessarily from the same angle, and I freaking love it.
Yeah, so we'll see you in the next conversation.
Pew pew. Hey, wasn't that interesting? What did you think? We certainly hope that something opened up for you and that you know and love yourself even more.
We surely want to witness your insights and transformation, so please share with us what you got out of it. You'll find our social media links in the description.
Stay tuned for the next alchemical conversation.
Take care, beautiful star being.